about the Nia Long and Jeezy conversation that, first off, nobody asked for. Okay,
no one asked for it.
Well, first, let me say this: Nia Long looks beautiful. She looks good. Her boyfriend, baby daddy, whatever he is, he truly dropped the ball. He left her to go be with mediocre cottage cheese, but nonetheless, in this interview, I'm halfway through it, but I can see that they cut out a lot. There's certain points where Nia would start to make a point, and then you would see it cut. And, me and you recognize that because we make content.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if you're gonna do it, be fully authentic. I think that Nia was also chosen to conduct this interview because she's not an experienced journalist, so she's not gonna dig on certain talking points.
Are you gonna play some of it? Because there's I have so many thoughts on this interview. Right off the top, the fact that he's even interviewing with Nia Long is saying something, because this is a Black man who has a history of showing disdain for Black women. He has a history of showing through multiple ways, how he devalues Black women. So I don't think it was accidental. I think it was very purposeful for Jeezy to have, after he ended the relationship with this Asian woman that he defended, that he put on a pedestal, this woman who went on literally a media tour about submission, how much he elevated her, talking about how solid she was, talking about how good of a woman she was. Then after 2 years of marriage, he's divorcing her. Then he gets in an interview with a Black woman, mind you, one who is kind of in an interesting situation, because her scandal was involving a Black man who decided to cheat on her and compromise the relationship for a white woman. Yes. This is Jeezy, who left 3 women who are not white. I thought they were all Black, but apparently the other one that he was engaged to, she looks to be at least biracial, whatever. Okay. We know 2 out of the 3 women were Black women that he left baby mamas. He was engaged to one of them, broke off the engagement to get with Jeannie Mai, uplifted her, praised her, impregnated her, then divorced her. So he starts the discussion out talking about the abuse that he suffered as a child by a woman. I think that was very strategic and purposeful that he did, because he's essentially setting the tone for sympathy. Have you ever heard of Jeezy talking about being essayed as a child? Have you ever heard him?
Never. Until this interview, never.
Exactly. And typically males, especially Black males, are not very vocal about the essay that they experience, be it by male or female. They are not vocal. They don't just sit up in interviews and talk about this. He introduced his childhood assault to a Black woman on an interview after he impregnated yet another woman, then abandoned her. And literally went into this diatribe about being afraid of intimacy. So
because I think of that. Yep.
Yeah, he was setting the stage to say, look, have sympathy for me based on the way I treat women, because at the end of the day, women are the reason why I'm like this. He went into this to blame women. Do I think that he was touched as a child? I don't believe it. And even if he was, the way in which he's using it on this interview is very insidious.
I want to ask you this. On one hand, okay, I get it. He got essayed by an older girl, babysitter, whatever. But what part does toxic Black male culture play into a lot of his abuse growing up too? Because, I mean, him having to hide under the sink as a woman was being abused, like that was a man abusing a woman. All of the violence in the neighborhood that he grew up in, that was perpetrated mostly by men, I'm assuming. I don't really know a whole lot of women running through neighborhoods, shooting it up and raping and this, that, and the third. So a lot of his issues, it's not coming from women, it's also coming from toxic Black male culture.
Yes, but when he came on there, he painted the narrative of blaming women, because you notice that he didn't mention where his father was when he was being essayed. He didn't mention where his father was when he was having a toxic relationship with his mother. He didn't mention his father at any point in time. Like, even when he mentioned him dropping the ball on raising his own son, he didn't even talk about how, look, my father was not around. Therefore, I had no blueprint from which to work from on how to raise my son into manhood. Even though he sat up there and admitted that what he instilled in his son was problematic, he didn't talk anything about his own father, because where did you learn that it was okay to keep impregnating women and then abandoning them? You learned it from your father doing it to your mother, but you didn't even bother to speak on your father. Every issue that he presented was an issue that came from a woman, basically.
Came from a woman. Let's play some.
To ever not feel like they don't have me active in their lives as their safety.
I love my son. I think he's an amazing guy. I think he's very charismatic. I think he got all the things, but I think that the way I've tried to love him over the years was totally wrong. Not his love language, for one. And I think the things that I instilled in him as a youngster, that doesn't serve him now.
I had a really public breakup recently.
But you see how they cut it? There was a lot more that was said there.
Yeah, it was. You know what I also think, though? I think that Black men understand the pathology of Black women much more than they think that they do. And I think that Black men are, for the most part, when they get into these interviews, they're very careful as to who they're going to be interviewed by. Nia Long, even though she's beautiful, even though she's revered in the community, she has the same pathology as most Black women do. And that is a pathology to where she doesn't see value in herself unless she's tied to a man. Nobody's going to convince me otherwise. I love Nia Long, though. Trust and believe. Nia Long is one of the GOATs in the community, okay? She was propped right up there on a pedestal with Jada Pinkett Smith. Now, Black men can act like they got a problem with Jada, but we know how much Jada was that girl.
Yeah, yeah. Can't deny it. Can't deny it. Yes.
Yeah, Nia Long was that girl too.
That's a
fact. They got songs about Nia Long. They got songs about Nia Long. So
and they literally don't even make them like her no more. They literally don't. No.
And she is like a timeless beauty. She doesn't seem to age. Yet she sat in now. I don't know how Nia Long feels about marriage and commitment. I don't know if she sees marriage as the ultimate commitment. Most Black women do. I'm not one of those women. I would get married, but I don't see marriage as something that I need to do. Nor do I think marriage is synonymous with commitment. I don't think that those two are the same. Nia Long sat in this extended relationship with this man with no type of marriage at all. And then word on the street is this ain't the first time he cheated.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And here's the thing. When it comes to cheating, I would think separating yourself from the relationship depends on the type of investment that you have in the relationship. I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody who's gotten cheated on the first time a man cheats, you should walk away. You should if you want to, but I understand why a lot of women don't. I understand why a lot of people don't, because there are scenarios where a man will get cheated on and he'll take the woman back too. We know that. There's scenarios where
they absolutely do.
Yeah, they absolutely do. They will deal with a woman cheating on them. They'll give the public persona, and a lot of them, some of them won't. There are a lot of them who won't, but a lot of them will. A lot of them will tolerate women cheating. But so I don't necessarily think that a woman is not valuing herself because a man steps out one time. I'm the type of person of, it's not what you do, it's how you go about doing it. And how do you deal with it after you do it? Because that's going to show more of your character than you engaging in the behavior in and of itself. We know people make mistakes. Like, I've never cheated, but I mean, could I don't know, maybe, possibly. People make mistakes. Relationships don't just break down because of cheating. There's other reasons too, but people make mistakes. But I think it says something about a woman like Nia Long, who has so many different options, who has been put on a pedestal, and then be in this relationship with this man, and it doesn't progress unless she just doesn't want marriage. If she doesn't want marriage, that's fine.
Right.
But a lot of people do. And if you want marriage, why are you staying in a relationship with a man for 8, 10, and 13 years and it's not progressing to a marriage?
You know what? That's a good point. Now, I remember, because she has the older son that's grown, and then she has the younger son that's like a teenager now. I remember when he was born. I remember that. And she was on, I want to say, Ebony magazine, and they asked her, like, this is your long time boyfriend. I think they had been together a few years at that time. And they're like, you guys gonna get married? Like, what's the goal? And she's like, I'm not really tripping off of it. But is it that you're not tripping off of it, or do you know that he's not gonna marry you, so you're just accepting it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know her to know the difference. I don't know.
A lot of women want it, but they know he doesn't want to, and they accept it. And I'm not saying that's the case for Nia Long, but I know for a fact that is the case with a lot of Black women. And I think that they can ultimately change that man's mind. I think they think that if they show him this loyalty by staying in the relationship without progressing to marriage, that it will somehow progress to marriage. And I think that's a flaw in women. I really think that's a flaw in women. I think it's a huge flaw. I think women do not understand how men operate. Black women mostly do not understand it. I think Black women, and I don't want to offend, like I really don't. But it's almost like Black women are mentally retarded when it comes to men. It's almost like they're mentally retarded.
Being a fool for love. Being a
Yeah.
fool for love. Yeah.
It is. And not just being a fool for love, but seeing things obviously. We see, like, how many generations have these men been creating kids and abandoning them? Why are you still having them? Why? Like, at what point does it click in your mind to say these men in large amounts are abandoning their children, and they're getting on public platforms talking about how they don't value their children, they don't want to provide for them? We now see that outside of the community with white women and some Asian women. Why are you still putting these males on a pedestal? Why? Why are they still your preference? Why are you still willing to have children when you know 9 times out of 10 they're going to abandon it? They're not going to take care of it.
I mean, listen, we've seen a lot of creators on YouTube say, you know, F you and them kids, or if y'all cause me too much stress, like, forget it. Just holler at me when you 18, holler at me when you 16. And it's like, wow, so easy just to say F your kids. Like, that's crazy. We had this discussion on the show the other day, and I was just simply telling women, like, why don't you open up your options? What is stopping you from doing it? Because I said I watch a lot of Kendra G. Shout out to Kendra G. Now, no shade to Kendra G. I don't take her show seriously. I take it as like entertainment purposes only. Like, no shade. But she making her money, so do you. But time after time after time, Black women getting up. First off, it's always mostly Black women getting up there. My man gotta be Black. He gotta be dark. He gotta be chocolate. I want Black, muscular, strong, nappy head. Like, women look, I know it's derogatory, but Black women love the blackest of the Black.
Yeah, Black women are obsessed with recreating their own skin tone. They are.
But then that very same, their reflection gets on camera. My name DeMarcus, and light skins only, whites only, Asians only.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? We talk about Richard T. Jones from Why Did I Get Married? His new girl, his new wife, which is not his wife, but his new lady, some throwaway Asian. It's like, and they all have the same look, very dark, bald, older, boomer, Gen X, whatever. I don't know. Maybe you can speak to that more than me.
Listen, it is a psychological fact that anytime you are chasing after something that's disrespecting you, devaluing you, and shunning you, that has to do with self-esteem. There's no way around it. So Black women chasing after a male group who has already made it known publicly multiple times that they don't want you. Like, you can watch any dating show. These males are going to go on there and talk about how they want white women. It was on Married at First Sight. It was on that show on Netflix. Love is Blind.
Yep. It's a storm show. Ay, it's a storm show.